Man, it is freaking hot. I know it's the middle of summer, but fuck. I need to think of something cold. Ice cold. Frosty cold. I need to review Byfrost. Yeah. I think that's what I'll do, Nation. I think I'll cover Of Death by Byfrost and review this album. Now, the very cold name is kind of a nice metaphor for summer, considering I really need to cool down. You can't tell on camera, but I'm sweating from head to toe. Kinda sucks. However, these guys are a blackened thrash metal band from Norway. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing a black shirt in the middle of summer, well, it's actually because it's significant. The guys from Enslaved, preferably Icedale, were producer and co-producer for this particular record. And this is a band that's kind of on the up and up. They only have about 11,000 plays over on Last.fm. So this is a band that you definitely got to kind of experiment for yourself. Now, I will say that whenever I first turned on this record and heard the first track, I was a little bit concerned. All the melodies and all of the guitar work, basically the musicianship sounded fantastic. However, whenever I first heard the vocals, they were very faint. And I thought that maybe that this was going to be one of those bands that, well, were that low in the play count or in the popularity count for a reason. Where, for some strange reason, they just mixed the vocals so terribly low that they were almost inaudible. And you kind of just had to focus on the music and not concern yourself with the vocals. But then the second track kicked in, and it was all a different story. Vocals came in clear as day, the thrash started to come out, the blackened elements were there. It's basically almost like hearing a thrash metal version of Enslaved, where you can hear the guitars and the musicianship behind it really just ripping through it. Very torrid paces, but at the same time, you kind of get that blackened environment. You get that Norwegian feeling behind it, so, you know, it's kind of a nice little mixture there. In fact, you could definitely harken back in some black metal as well. However, I hear more thrash simply by the way in which the music is played. That is until we get to the final two tracks on the album. This is only an 8-track affair at 38 minutes long, so this is not exactly an album that's going to take up a lot of your time. And it's actually very solid all the way through, so this is not going to be something where it's going to be a struggle to get to these last two tracks just because I'm talking about them. You get to the second to last track, and it becomes this very ambient piece where there's just a guitar lick going on in the background, and you hear the words. You know, you hear the words that speak about the very final track. All gods are gone. You hear all gods are gone throughout this entire 6-minute track. And then you get to the actual track, all gods are gone, and you think to yourself, well, maybe I got one of those really, really bad, cheap versions where they accidentally switched the songs. But no, that's not actually what they did. The song previous to it, Sorrow, I believe is the way that you say it, is a fitting introduction into All Gods Are Gone. And let me tell you, highlight of the album for me. This is the song that shows a remarkable display of diversity. The production is definitely aided on this particular measure because the transition to the very aggressive thrash nature that they've displayed now for the past, 5 or 6 tracks is finally able to come to a rest, and they get kind of back into that same ambience, only with a very harder, more metallic property that you heard on the previous track, the 6-minute long introduction. And well, All Gods Are Gone is 6 minutes by its own right, so if you really want to be kind of, I don't know, nitpicky about it, you could almost say that it's a 12-minute 2-part finale. This is a really solid record. This is one that I decided to pick up on a whim because, well, as of right now, I didn't have much to talk about that was new. And I'm really glad that I did. This is an album that I really think that could propel a lot of people to get into this band if they're not fans of the band already. Either that or will make a very encouraging case for exploring new music and not just necessarily going after the bands that are kind of, you know, in bold-faced print on every metal fan's radar. Overall, I'd have to give this a solid 8 out of 10. The very first track, I admit, is a little bit annoying and was kind of a disappointment. And until I figured out what was going on with Sorrow, I was a little bit confused. So I guess I would kind of have to dock points even though I kind of get it now. But it's one of those things where I really enjoyed the ambience, so I'm not going to dock too many. To be perfectly honest, everything is done pretty well here. In fact, the musicianship is very tight. These guys definitely got a lot of just praise from Enslaved whenever they were doing the production value because the production on this album is extremely well done. Everything is mixed right. It has that atmosphere of Norway. You definitely can feel it in your bones whenever you listen to this album, which is something that I encourage you to do. Coverkillernation saying, metaphors are nice, but It's so fucking hot, I think I'm gonna stick my head in my fucking freezer. I'll talk to you guys later. Ah, that feels so fucking good. Yes.